Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're working on this Yardmachines, built by MTD. It's been like an assembly line around here. In and out, in and out, in and out. Never ends. The work never ends. Of course, it's all my fault. I'm the one that buys the things. Anyways, this one has a 13.5 horse power built. So a Briggs 38-inch deck. It's got that kooky MTD variable transmission setup with the belts and the sheave pulley. They work. I don't know anything about this machine. I just brought it in. I haven't even tried anything on it yet. I don't think it's got many hours on it. I did pressure wash it when I got it, so it's been sitting in the yard for a couple of months now. But I mean, the tires aren't worn. The treads are still good on them. I don't think it has many hours on it. I'm going to assume it's more than 200, so we're going to set the valves anyways. But let's see where we go with this one. All right, first things first. Check the oil, make sure there's some in it. Yep, there's some in it. It's black. But there's some in it. It's just a little bit low. That'll be all right. Doesn't really smell like gas, it just smells like old oil. So we may be okay for the carb needle and seat is actually shutting the fuel off and it's not letting it flow into the engine. We're going to change oil anyways. This is not a pressure system. This will be a splash oil. There's no oil filter on it. So once we get it running, we'll let it warm up and drain the oil out of it. We'll change that out. It does have some fuel in it. I don't know how old it is. Well, it doesn't smell fresh, but it doesn't smell bad either. We're going to try that. Nice. It's not a bad machine, actually. It looks pretty good. This one does not have the blade engagement system that a lot of the older ones do, where when you lower the deck moves backwards and tightens your the belt for the mower deck. This one actually has a separate lever for the mower deck. I like that better. It's much more forgiving. With the other style that engages with the deck lowering, the belts have to be precisely the right belts. Like an eighth of an inch will make a difference whether the blades will drag and keep turning, or you on the lowest the first setting, the blades don't actually, the belt doesn't tighten enough to spin the blades reliably. That's a bit of a pain. The ones with a separate lever are better. So yeah, it's cold. That's when you got to set your valves. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Unfortunately, this hood doesn't come off easily. I got to take these strut rods off and a couple of bolts off at the bottom. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll get to the front of the engine so I can get to the valves easier. Okay, now we'll get it lifted up so I can work on the front of the engine. It's not actually difficult. It's just 2 bolts here, 2 bolts there, and unhook the lights. The light bulbs look like they're full of milk. We're going to change those. I don't think that's going to work. Okay, like I've done 100 times, let's get these valves set. I've already got the cover off and it's all cleaned up and ready to go. I've got the engine turned over so the exhaust valve is pushed all the way down, which means this one will be all the way loose. So I'm going to set them at 5 and 5 thou each, but I'm going to do a little inspection first. That's an aluminum push rod, that's a steel push rod. So I want to give it a spin here and look down beside it to see if it's bent, which it is not, it's perfectly straight. But they do slide through this little plastic guide. They go up and down in that guide. Now I want to check the side of that push rod to see if it's worn a groove in the push rod where the plastic rides, because I've seen them actually worn completely through. This one is in great shape. I don't think there's many hours on this at all. That one's in perfect shape. Well, that's fine. try our feeler blade. It's got my 5 thou blade out and it's very loose. Let's see if we can cheat this one a little bit. We might be able to. Without loosening the lock. Just give that a turn. That's the adjustment nut. It's not very tight. Oh, we're sneaking up on it. It's getting tight now though. Oh, that's perfect. We can just back her off just a little. And that's perfect right there. Just slides. Nice. That's easy. Give her a spin. Get the intake valve all the way down, which it is. We'll check this push rod. Check for bends. Nice and straight. What's our gap? Loose. Still loose. Now it's tight. I don't want to go any tighter than that, but that's it's fine because that's exactly where it needs to be. And it takes just a tiny bit of movement to get that set. There, perfect tension. Excellent. That's finished. They were loose. That'll give you hard starting problems, all kinds of things. Sometimes it'll seem like the battery's dead. What's happening is if it doesn't have, if the gap is too big, the automatic decompression doesn't decompress. So your starter's trying to crank the engine over at full compression. So silicone came off of this, so I'm putting a gasket on it because I like gaskets. Servicing down the road is easier. And valves have to be set cold, like I mentioned. This is a 2008. Okay. That's good. I did notice a little bit of debris up underneath the cowl here, so I'm going to pull the top cover off and we're going to get that mouse nest out of there. Okay, so we know the valves are set. We know there's some oil in it. Again, we're going to run it and warm it and dump the oil out. I did put a new air filter in it, and it's got a new spark plug in it. So let's see if we can get this thing to run. It might actually be a unit that I don't have to tear the carburetor apart. I don't know. Probably not. Well, let's find out. Everything appears to be okay. We haven't done fuel filter and fuel line valve and all that stuff yet. Let's just see what happens. Give her some choke. Linkage is working. Let's see. Doesn't sound promising. No choke? Oh, I heard a pop. 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 Okay, before I go any further, the popping tells me the timing might be off. So, I'm gonna pull the cover again, pull the screen off, pull the bolt out of the flywheel and check to see if the key is sheared. So I won't show all the process, but I'll pop you guys over and show you the key, whether it's sheared or not. I didn't bother. I just turned the key again and it fired. So here it is running. And new light bulbs. New light bulbs work just fine. Actually, it runs nice. Idle's nice anyway. That's great. Nice. right, so I've got the oil changed out. That's all good. Top drop about 1.5 quarts of straight 30. Let's get this fuel screen out of the way. We're going to put a clear filter in there where we can see what's going on. Hoses are loose. Yes. Let's get the hose pincher offers in there. We're going to cut this and put a valve in it too. Let's cut that right there. There? Sure. Right there. Gas everywhere. Valve's got an arrow on it for flow. Arrow's pointing that way. That's the way it flows. Okay, so the valve is off. Let's check that valve, make sure it works. No flow. Flow. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd say it works. Came shooting out of there. So the filter I'm going to put in is quite a bit longer. Let's chop this. Where are we going to chop that? Let's get this clamp over a little bit out of the way. Let's see. We're going to use this filter today because it just happens to be sitting on the bench. Well, I want to cut that off. Give us a fresh section of hose there to get the filter in. Is that all right? Oh, that'll be fine. So I'm going to move the clamp over to the filter because the filter is not quite as tight as the valve. That valve, you really got to push them in there. They're very tight in the hose, so I don't even need a clamp on it. It's a gravity feed system. There's not a pump. So get that screen out of there. I don't like those. I like to be able to see what the fuel system's doing. You can see that in there. You can see if it's full of crud or water or whatever. Well, there we go. Now it probably won't fill. It might, but it probably won't because the carb's probably full. Yeah, so there's no flow. There won't be any flow until that fuel level drops in the carburetor, then the flow will come down and then it'll allow fuel through, but there we go. I like that setup much better. These carbs get a little old and then the needle doesn't quite hold all the pressure, so if you got a full tank of fuel, it's pushing all that pressure, trying to bypass the needle, and if the needle and float isn't 100%, then it will actually overflow the carburetor, go in through the intake valve, fill the engine up full of gas, and generally cause a ruckus. So that's that. It runs good. I don't have to do the carb work. Nice. Where do we, oh, that's not the right way. There we go. Where do we go from here? We can look at the deck. Already, I know the belt's bad. I have one in stock already. Tires seem to hold air. That's okay. Grease fittings on these hubs? Nope. Yep, there's one. So we're gonna grease those. But I think we're gonna get the deck out of there so I can have a look-see at everything, the pulleys, the blades. We'll get it out and flip it over or get it on the ground here and we'll have a look-see. Okay, so I've got the deck slid out and I'm a little short of real estate in here and I'm not gonna move the tractor in and out because it's cold outside. I got the heater on. So it's gonna stay here. And it's full of debris and stuff. I'm gonna vacuum that out, but let's just get these covers off here real quick. Let's see what we got hiding for us. One cover. Two covers. Well, the belt is no good. We're gonna put a new one on it anyways. Let's get the belt off of there. That'll let us check the condition of the pulleys and bearings, and that one's stuck. That one's sticky. I was stuck from sitting for such a long time. I'll guarantee you what's going to happen is the more you spin it, the noisier it's going to get, because the bearings are probably rusty. It's going to get new bearings. This one here won't even turn yet. Let's check our idler. Let's get the belt out of there. Get out there. Ah, idler's nice and quiet. Belt is rubbish. Can I be so lucky as to have a number on it? That's a negatory. Doesn't matter. I looked it up by tractor model, and it shows that I have the correct MTD replacement belt in stock. So the way this works is cable comes in from here, grabs a hold of this lever, and when the resting position, everything is like this. So the brakes are applied to the pulleys and the belt is slack because the belt runs this way to the pulley. No, it runs which way to the pulley? Through here. Anyway, yeah, through that way. What happens is when you push the engagement lever, this moves this way, pulls the brake off the pulley. This arm pulls the brake off of the other pulley, and it tensions the belt tighter, so it pulls on that. So this is just a little stiff. It's not spring loaded. There's no spring under it. We're just going to hit it with some penetrating oil and some grease to make it move nice and smooth. We're going to hit all the pivoting parts. All the pivoting parts are going to get hit with grease to make sure everything works fine. And I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be a spring on that. I'll have to look at the parts list again, because usually they're spring loaded to this position. I'll check it anyways, and we'll come back to that. So let me get this vacuumed off and clean. Oh, there's a spring here. One there. I'll check the IPL for the rest of the springs, if there is any more. And we'll get it cleaned up, flipped over, and check the blades, change bearings, and check everything else out. Yep, there was supposed to be another spring. And I found one that I had in stock. Boing. Lube this, lube that pivot, put the spring on there. Beautiful. Exactly what it's supposed to do. Awesome. Alrighty, we'll get her off the bench, flipped over, scraped, full of grass, and we'll tear into these spindles. Yeah, change bearings in those. I should have the bearings in stock for them. Yep, that's next. Ay caramba, those blades are mangled. Both of them are demolished. Let's have a listen to the bearings. Yep, don't like that. This end, definitely crunchy. Yeah, I can use a big air gun to get these nuts off. I'm not even going to try with a small one. Well, they weren't even that tight. Good grief. Those are a mess. Huh? Well, they come off easy. That's good. Definitely not going back on. What were they cutting? Gravel? Anyways, I'm going to scrape all this rubbish out of here, get it nice and cleaned up, and then we'll get into the bearings. Oh boy. Alright, so I've got it scraped out as clean as I'm going to scrape it. Let's see if this little gun will take the spindle stuff apart. Oh yeah. Big nut, pulley. Here's our top bearing. The seal is moving. 6204, I think so. Yep, 6204. They're crunchy. It's got a rubber mallet. Soft face beading stick. See if it'll drive out easy. Yep, it's moving. Oh yeah. All kinds of rubbish coming out the bottom of that. bearing's not coming out, so should just be the shaft coming through. Donk onto the floor. There's the shaft. Little rusty 6-point star drive. It does have a spacer in there. I can move it with my finger. Let's get a different hammer. Let's drive our bottom bearing out first. Out she goes. Spacer fell out with it. 2 spacers actually, 2 small ones. There's our spacers. Yep, that's gonna get a new one. Let's see if I can easily get this one out from the bottom. Oh yeah, here it comes. Doesn't sound too bad, but get new ones anyways. Oh, there's 4 in here. Yep, there is. Looks like I need to order some more. Go through a lot of these 6204 bearings. Shiny new bearing. Beautiful. I'll take a little piece of emery cloth and clean that. Just a wee bit. Oh, I'm gonna cheat. It's not a stupid idea if it works. Yep, that worked. Beautiful. We get that tapped in from the bottom. Just want to get it in there a little bit here. Rubber mallet. Okay, the bearing is started. Let's move this stuff so we don't lose it. We'll drive that bearing all the way home. There, that's all the way. We'll put a spacer, another spacer. Uh-oh, I need a bearing. Also need a nut. Got to get the nut off the bottom of the shaft there. There we go. Or that'll hold it for me. Another bearing. Let's get that bearing on there. Just gonna gently persuade it down. Those spacers and the pulley and everything are going to hold it all together, and it'll pull it all tight exactly where it needs to go. So for that, new bearings. Wonderful. That one's ready for a blade. I think I've done this too many times. Getting all the shortcuts down pat here. Second verse, same as the first. Get that off. Get that off. This spacer was stuck on the other pulley. I did see it. It was there. Gently persuade this out. Sometimes the bearing comes out with it. This one did not. It's still just the shaft. Get the bottom bearing out. Bottom bearing and 2 spacers come out. Top bearing. I find the top bearing is always looser in these. Crunchy. That's garbage. Let's do the same trick we did last time. Clean the shaft off a little bit. That lets the bearing slide on there easier. 2 more bearings on the shaft. Bottom's out nice. Let's get the bottom one driven in. I'm just trying to hold that shaft kind of centered as I can. Okay. Okay, she bottomed out. Shaft, spacer, spacer, top bearing. Spacer under the pulley. Pulley. Oh, let's see, it's got to go up a little bit further yet. Pulley's not quite engaging the splines. A little bit farther. There we go, felt that move. Now, spacer. Now, pulley. On the splines, nice. Nut. Nice. Wonderful, nice and smooth. A couple of new blades. MTD part number on these is 9420610A. It's a mulching blade. Get it on our star there, underneath. There you go, spinning. Nice and quiet. Let's get our blade on this side. Oddly enough, the part number is the same. There's the nut. Nice and smooth. So I'm just going to try and get both blades so I can get the points together here. I know you won't be able to see it, but just checking to make sure that the 2 points are going together and they're not like this. So that'll tell you either your blade is bent or your deck is tweaked or something is stuck underneath between the blade and the spindle is tweaking one of the blades, but these are both blades. Spin them, all the points point together. So that's nice. That one's nice. This is still good. Release the magical zip tie. Deck. Rebuilt. Wonderful. Just got to hang that back up there and she's ready to go. Now I did look at the drive belts. There's an upper and a lower drive. They are, one's under the seat. It's a little short guy. There's another one and it runs from the transaxle to sheave pulley. And then there's another belt runs from the pulley to the engine. And that sheave pulley it's a double pulley that the centerpiece actually goes up and down, and it's like a skidoo where it's a variable pulley. So I checked both those drive belts and they're both fine. That's good because they're not fun to change. Low hours on this one. I think we're going to do okay on this one. All right, so I'm going to hang the deck back up, Before I do that, I'm just gonna crawl underneath with some spray lube, and anything that moves, I'm just gonna spray it down with some grease to make sure there's no squeaks, make sure everything moves nice and free and straight and easily. And then I'll put the deck up there. Well, it's test time. The new belt's on there, new blades, new bearings, which I had all in stock. We put a shutoff valve, which was in stock, fuel filter in stock, valve cover gasket in stock, air filter was in stock, spark plug was in stock. The only thing I need to replace on this that wasn't in stock or that I have to order is the tie rod end on the other side. It's just worn to the point where it pops apart, so I got one on order, just don't have one here. But let's fire it up and check the blade operation. We're gonna check the seat safety. We're gonna check the brake pedal safety. We're gonna check all that stuff. I believe this has a reverse lockout for mowing in reverse. Usually they do. Just gotta see if there's a wire on it. Yep, there's a wire on it, so we're gonna check that. I don't particularly like those, the reverse lockouts. You need to be able to mow backwards. Some of them have an override. Some of them you have to turn the key back one notch. It keeps running. You gotta press a button, the light comes on, then you can mow in reverse. I guess somebody backed over somebody at some point. So now machines are equipped with lawyer options. I gotta make sure that all the safeties are functioning when I sell it, and it's up to the customer if they wanna delete them. Well, let's get it running and do all the tests. Fuel on. Yep. Still not filling, but it will. Let's give her a little bit of throttle. Parking brake is on. Will not start. You gotta press the pedal. Parking brake is still on. So let's make sure it goes forwards and backwards. I don't think I've ever had this running, so forwards. Backwards. Okay, that's good. Parking brake, seat switch. Seat switch works. I don't like that, but it does work right now. Let's see if I can get the blades on slow. It's gonna vibrate. They're designed to be running fast. It'll shake. Blades are on. Let's see if it cuts out when I put it in reverse. Yes, it does. So it's locked out. You can't reverse and cut on this one. And there's no override switch. So it's just, on this machine, you cannot cut and reverse. That's silly. Anyways, it does work. Blades are off. Actually, let's check the blade safety. Well, we know it does work because it interlocks with reverse. So, can't even turn it on, can't start it with the blades on. There we go. Everything's fine. Everything works great. I can see in the reflection that both headlights are on too. That's important. It is to me. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me on this video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you do subscribe, give that bell a dingle. It'll let you know when I upload new videos. Yeah. I think it'll be just great for the next owner. Anyways, got to get this one out because I got another one to come in. Until the next one, take care.